Wilfried Nancy's performance as a coach overall. It's not easy to go into a club in the first year and really lay down your philosophy and foundation that quickly and having players adapt to it that quickly. I found that fascinating because usually when a coach comes in, it's like year 3. We're going to win it in year 3, but he did it in year 1.
5-year plan.
5-year plan.
Do you guys know that Wilfried and I worked together?
In Montreal? Did you?
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, I did not.
When I was the coach, he was working in the academy. So there was a guy named Philippe Olefroy, and he was the academy director. And Wilfried, I think, was coaching the 15s at the time. So we would have a lot of coaching meetings and discussions and discuss what we were trying to do with the first team and how the academy could try to emulate some of the qualities and style of football that we were trying to create with the first team. And Wilfried was always the guy in those meetings asking the right kinds of questions, inquisitive, seriously into his job, really liked working with the team. And we discussed throughout that season, should we bring Wilfried in with the first team? Right. And the club felt so strongly about the job he was doing with the academy that in the end, we wound up letting him finish the year there. And who knows, if I would have continued on in Montreal, maybe he would have gotten into the first team quicker. But you could tell back then that, you know, he had a future and that he was serious and that he had some football ideas and he had the right kinds of questions. So I'm really excited to see him have the success that he's had now and establish himself so well. I think that the way his team played, certainly in MLS Cup final, but overall throughout the season and how they got better and better says a lot about the job he's done. And I'll say this, I don't know if maybe you guys picked this up or not. As Hernandez, and as they're checking the VAR for the penalty, he calls over Amundsen and I think one other player. And I see him talking to him on the sideline, and he's talking about Amundsen coming away from the midfield line to find a little bit of space, and that is the play that winds up leading to the second goal. So I'm not 100% sure that that's what he was speaking about, but you know, he's an intelligent guy. You can see he has a way that he wants his team to play, and certainly the way that they were able to execute on that day of MLS Cup. Really, I think, especially first half, they dominated. So well done, Will. And congratulations, huh?
Yeah, it was incredible. And that performance, I think, really speaks to what he's about and the team overall, that they stayed true to who they were. And win or lose, they were going to go down in their style. And I think that's evident by even in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, you have Kevin Molina who's got the ball. And you'd think at that point, hey, you're up a goal, just knock it long. But they're still trying to play out of tough situations. I was like, all right, you know, they're staying true to that. But Chuck, what were your thoughts on the game overall? Let's talk about Darlington Nagbe. This is his 4th MLS Cup with his 3rd different team, which really speaks to him being a serial winner. I mean, the guy just wins at every level, no matter where he is.
Well, first off, I want to address Wilfried Nancy just in how he had to come into Columbus from Montreal with a game plan to get the best out of his best player, which was Lucas Zelarayan, right? You're trying to figure out, how do I get the most out of Lucas Zelarayan and Cucho Hernandez, and you sell him mid-season to still reinvent the team with Matan. You bring in Diego Rossi, and all of a sudden you don't skip a beat. If not, you get better, because now it feels like the team is able to kind of move the ball around without having to just focus on getting into the Zelarayan and then play off of him. So I think it freed up Darlington Nagbe and Aiden Morris a little bit more, so they could now start to make those decisions on when to play, when to keep it. And in this game in particular, it just showed how much quality they have in possession. And it's not wasted possession. It's, as Wilfried Nancy would always say, it's possession with a purpose. We're trying to move LFC and also neutralize them from playing to their strengths, which was sit back, counter, be aggressive in transition. We're not allowing them to do that. So I thought it was fantastic. And since you touched on Darlington Nagbe, this is one of the best players to ever play in MLS. Not just best American, best player, one of the best players to play in MLS. He is so good with the ball at his feet. He makes the right decisions. In terms of dribbling out of pressure, you can always rely on him to do that. But he's also a great passer. He doesn't get enough credit for the all-around player that he is, because, you know, early on in the Portland days, it was focus on being more of a midfielder who's going to give you numbers, assists, and goals. And I think that took away from what he's so good at, which is being an outlet, being another option to play out of trouble, play to him when you're in trouble to keep the ball. So I think this match really has been able to highlight just how good he is this season in particular. And now I think we're all looking at it like, damn, what happened with the U.S. Men's National Team? Why weren't we able to have him be a big part of the picture?
Yeah, that's a huge question. And I think Darlington has come out and spoke about the travel, but there might have been some other things that were happening behind the scenes that we're unaware of, but there's no denying how incredibly talented he is. Fun fact, I played with him once in a five-a-side kind of thing, and I was so happy he was on my team. That guy doesn't run. He glides by people, and I think that just speaks to just his calmness on the ball, his composure, and also another player that just keeps his head up the whole time. He doesn't have to look down, and that makes the game a lot easier for him, of course. But Jesse, this is a question for you. And it's two-sided because you have LAFC and Steve Cherundolo, who as a first-year coach won MLS Cup. And I know that Wilfried Nancy's been coaching for a while, as had Steve. But with this particular team in LAFC, he gets to 3 finals, right? They get to Concacaf Champions League final, Campeonato Cup final, and now MLS Cup, and don't win any of them. And then you have, with bringing Wilfried Nancy back into the conversation, how can he try to replicate the success he's had in year 1 with Columbus, as Cherundolo tried to do in year 2 with LAFC? Because as we know, that's not an easy task to try to re-motivate the guys to go again.
Yeah, I think there's a number, we've played on championship teams before, Jimmy, right? And it's almost that year after winning the title that is so difficult. Everybody thinks that they had a little bit more to do with the success than probably what they actually had. Everybody kind of forgets how hard it was, all the sacrifices that had to be made. Everybody thinks it was easier than what it was. And so the idea of work ethic, the idea of still being selfless, that is hard to continue to enforce and reinforce in the team to make sure that you have the hunger for the success like you often had in the first year. And that's what, sometimes when you go talk about dynasties, whether it's been in our sport, the Chicago Bulls, you can go down the list of different sport teams.
Patriots.
The Patriots. Let's say the Patriots. Let's say the Patriots, Charlie. But you need special kinds of leaders on the inside that know how to push the buttons, that know how to still bring the best and the hunger out of players in those moments. So, I think that often, as hard as winning the first title is, that winning the subsequent titles can be even more difficult. So we'll see. Columbus, I think, has a good team. I don't think they're the best team in the league, right? They're a good team. And clearly, like we know with MLS, if you peak at the right time, if luck comes your way, like things can happen where Columbus has to go on the road for MLS Cup, and then maybe everything's a little bit different. So you kind of need the breaks to go your way in the final moments of the season to get to MLS Cup and then to eventually win it. But of course, the next challenge is you celebrate that night, you enjoy it, and then you wake up the next morning, you get back to work.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, new season ahead of you. I think the breaks not necessarily went Columbus's way, but they definitely created their own luck when they were down 2-0 to Cincinnati in the semifinals and came back to win that one.
Yeah,
really impressive response there. And how they coped with adversity, I thought, especially through the playoffs, was very impressive. When you include having a 2-week break because of the international break and all these little things that could throw you off your rhythm.